Module 2. Heroes. A hero is someone who is admired for his courage, his achievements, and his noble qualities. Just like this person trying to do a heroic job, probably saving people's lives. Discuss. When you hear the word hero, who comes to your mind? Who do you think of? Well, to begin with, a superhero is not like a hero. A superhero is someone who has superpowers. A hero is someone who has courage, achievements, and noble qualities, but no superpowers. When I hear this word, I think of people who are making a difference in our lives, in our world, and above all, the one who made the biggest difference, Prophet Muhammad. He changed the way we live today, and for that he is my hero. And my other heroes are people who are making our lives easier and better. What do you prefer reading? What do you like reading? History books? Books about things that happened in the past? Or adventure stories? Stories about daring and exciting experiences, and why? Personally, I like history books. Why? Because history books help you understand the past, and by understanding the past, you understand the present. You understand why things the way they are today. A. Discuss. Which words would you use to describe a true hero? When you describe, you give details. Which of these words would you use? Brave, when you have courage. Confident, when you know your abilities, the things you can do. Honest, when you don't lie and you are trustworthy. Intelligent, smart, sensible, reasonable. Strong, not weak. I would use all these words to describe a true hero. To be a true hero, you must have all these things. I would not choose some of them, no, all of them. B. Read the introduction and the extract. An extract is a small part taken from a bigger part, from a short story. What does the writer do in this story? Does he express his opinion, says what he thinks? Describe the main character in detail. The main character in a story is the most important person in that story. In details, you mention all the specifics. C. Describe events, things that happened, and the character's feelings. Now read with me. Sometime in the 12th century. This is not sometimes, no, this is different. This is sometime. It means it happened at not a specific time in the 12th century. A century equals 100 years. There lived an incredibly brave and sensible man. Incredibly, very brave and sensible man named, his name was Salah ad-Din. It was a time of war when nations fight each other between men of different religions. Muslims, followers of Salah ad-Din, and Christians, followers of King Richard I. Salah ad-Din led the path to lead. When you make people follow you, you lead them. The Muslim soldiers, fighters who fight at war against their enemies, against versus their enemies. Enemy, people you fight, and he was able to defeat them, to win. When you defeat somebody, that means that you are the winner and they are the losers. At the Battle of Hittin. Battle is a fight at war. Of Hittin. Hittin is the name of the battle in 1187 and freed Jerusalem. When you free, you release from confinement. Jerusalem is the capital of Palestine. Crowds of Muslims, a lot of Muslims gathered. They came together to cheer their victory, to celebrate their victory, their big win. The war continued for many years. Still, Salahuddin remains. He kept being in history as a supporter, as a provider of Muslim culture, Muslims' way of life. As a great leader, leader is someone who leads. This is a verb. This is a noun. Like teacher, teach. Leader, leads. And as an honest man whose careful plans and many skills, when you have skills, you are good at many things. One, the respect. When you are respected, you have people's admiration. Even of his most famous enemy. Even means you are mentioning something unexpected. Not only Muslims respected Salahuddin, no, even his most famous enemy, King Richard I of England. How do you read this? King Richard I of England. For 2 years, Salahuddin and King Richard fought against each other. Fought is the past of fight. The former protecting, the former, the one mentioned first. We mentioned two people, Salahuddin and King Richard. The former means the one mentioned first, Salahuddin. Protecting, trying to defend Jerusalem. And the latter is the opposite of former, the one mentioned last, who is King Richard, trying to win Jerusalem. One day, word got around. A rumor started that King Richard was wounded, injured. His men gathered round the tent. This is a tent in which their king lay hidden, kept away from people. It was unknown whether the king was in pain. Whether means F. It was unknown whether the king was in pain or was suffering from an injury, was affected by an injury. Injury is almost the same as wounded. His men sat on the ground. Sat is the past of sit. Sit, sat. Looking extremely upset, unhappy, and worried. While they were trying to find out more, to know more about the king's health, something unexpected happened. Something surprising happened. Some soldiers are approaching, getting closer, coming closer. Shouted a knight. Shouted, he said it in a loud voice. A knight is a soldier who fights on a horse. So, some soldiers are approaching. A knight shouted this. Silence fell. Everybody stopped talking, stopped making noise, as the strangers were galloping towards them. Strangers, unknown people, were galloping. They were riding their horses very fast towards them, towards the knights. The king's men were nodding to each other. When you nod, you raise and lower your head, sending a signal to someone. 5 Muslim men greeted them. When you greet, you say hi. The 5 Muslim men are the strangers, and they are also the soldiers. Okay? They are the same people. They are the ones who were approaching, were coming to the knights. The knights raised their swords. When you raise, you lift something up in the air. Sword is a weapon used for fighting. And lifted, when you lift something, you put it up in the air, the same as raise. They're shields. A shield is what you use to protect yourself when you fight in the air. What is the meaning of this? Said one of them, said one of the knights. We are here for the king, one of them announced, one of the Muslims, one of the strangers. When you announce, you say something publicly. Salahuddin sent us. We come in peace. We have no intention for fighting, said one of them. I am Salahuddin's doctor. Salahuddin knows your king is ill, sick, injured, and sent me here to help him. The knight removed his helmet. When you remove, you take off. The helmet is what you put on your head to protect it. He then became aware that the men were carrying fruit for the king, as well as also ice to help with his fever, with the king's fever, the king's temperature. It was then that all of them realized, they knew that what they heard about Salahuddin's goodness being good was true. The writer was doing what here? Expressing his opinion? No, there is no opinion here. Describing the main character in detail? No. Describing events, things that happened. Yes, that's what he was doing. Page 23. C. Read the sentences and decide if they are true or false. 1. The Muslims won the Battle of Hittin and got Jerusalem back. That is true, and managed to defeat them, to defeat King Richard and his men. 2. The war continued for a few years only. No. Continued for many years. 3. The 5 strangers were soldiers. That is true. The 5 Muslims, were the strangers, and they also were the soldiers approaching. 4. In the beginning, the strangers were unfriendly towards the men. That is false. They said, we come in peace. The Muslims, the soldiers, the strangers said, we come in peace. We are not here to fight. 5. The knights, King Richard's men, feelings towards their visitors, the strangers, remained the same. No, it changed. At first, the knights raised their swords and lifted their shields, readying themselves for a fight. They wanted to fight, but at the end, the knight removed his helmet. So the feeling changed. D. Match the words highlighted in the text with their meanings. Wounded. What does wounded mean? It means injured. Wounded, injury, almost the same. Approaching. Some soldiers are approaching. They are getting closer, going near. 3. Galloping. The soldiers were galloping. They are moving fast, riding horses which were running fast. Nodding. The king's men were nodding to each other. They were moving their heads to show agreement, to give a signal. Announce. When you announce, you say something publicly in front of everybody. You made it known. When you remove, you take off. Remove the helmet, take off the helmet. E. Discuss. Did you like the story? If you say yes, why yes? If you say no, why not? I liked it. Why? Because it reminds me of our glorious days, of our great days as Muslims, when Muslims led the world. What do you think will probably happen next in the story, in the same story? What do you think will happen after this, after Salahuddin sent his doctor and everything? Probably the king got better and signed a treaty. A treaty is when you agree not to fight for a period of time with Salahuddin. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please share it with friends. I'll see you again next time, inshallah. Goodbye.